Hi friends, I got to play Season 26 of Apex Legends early thanks to EA, and that means I can show you what's coming in Season 26, everything from the new ranked rewards to the brand new permanent game mode. So first up, the new season arrives next week and it's called Showdown. I'll show you the new heirloom first because I know that's what you're into. It's a universal heirloom and it looks like this. It's a baseball bat and we're getting it in two ways. The first is via a usable weapon in the new game mode, which I'll talk about a bit later. But if you remember the power sword, you could use it and it had some unique abilities as a weapon in game. So this baseball bat will be the same and you'll be able to use it in the new game mode. The second way to get it is obviously as an heirloom, and that means you'll get to keep it permanently. Obviously, it won't have the special abilities if you get it as an heirloom, but you will get to keep it, and because it's universal, like always, you can use it on any legend. There are a few different color variants as you can see, and you will also get a custom death box if you get the bundle. I will say I tested out the animations for this new baseball bat heirloom and it is pretty cool. They've got some fairly unique animations there, although unfortunately because it's universal, again, it's not super specific to a singular legend. Don't worry, I will have my normal video on the cheapest way to get this brand new heirloom when the new season comes out. By the way, I do expect another event later in Season 26, which will likely bring either another heirloom or prestige skin. We don't have the details of that one just yet, but I'll keep you updated once I find out. Now, sticking with the new features for Season 26 of Apex Legends, they've introduced a new inventory slot, and this slot holds something called amps. Now, amps are like boosts to your kit that you can find in the general loot pool, and they'll essentially augment your abilities, giving you the opportunity to do things like have infinite ammo stacks or infinite healing upgrades. For example, this one, which allows you unlimited battery uses as long as you've got 2 in your backpack. And from the launch of Season 26, there'll be a bunch of these amps available, and the devs did say they'll be working on bringing additional amps to the game, which will be quite cool. I did find the amps quite fun. They're not a massive game changer, but they do definitely bring some extra utility to what we're used to previously in Apex Legends. Now, sticking with the theme of new features, hop-ups have been revised, and you no longer have to pick them up off the ground now. Instead, the hop-ups are built into the respective weapons, and you get those from the start as soon as you pick up those weapons. However, they're locked at the beginning and you'll have to unlock them by dealing damage. Once activated, they turn on and they'll stay with that weapon for the rest of the match. The hop-ups themselves are kind of the same. You've got pretty much the same things like the gun shield for the Hemlock and the R301, or you've got the skull piercer on the previous weapons it was on, like the wingman, the longbow, and the 3030. The only new hop-up that will be built into weapons is a new paintball hop-up which comes with the Spitfire. So all of these are done based on gameplay, and it's mostly damage that you're dealing with those weapons, which will then unlock the hop-up. And you'll get a little pop-up notification to know once it's unlocked, but you'll also be able to view it and see it goes from grey to the normal hop-up colour once it's unlocked. So that's the big change to hop-ups for Season 26. In terms of the weapons, the RE45 is the biggest change. There's no new weapon, but effectively the RE45 becomes an energy weapon. It's part of a new weapon category called Elite Weapons, and at the moment that does only include the RE45, but the hint from the devs was that there would be more elite weapons coming in the future. The story behind these elite weapons is that they're part of Ballistic's private arsenal, hence why they're going to be slightly different. This specific RE45 variant, which is now an energy weapon, is a 3-round burst weapon. It's kind of like a pistol version of the Nemesis. It's very fast firing, but it also has a little bit of a charge up time, kind of like the Havoc without the turbocharger, but not quite as extreme as the Havoc. I used it a little bit in early access. It's definitely very strong early game, and I feel like this could be the new OP pistol in Season 26, given the P2020s are going into the care package. The other thing I'll call out with the weapons is that they've also buffed the Mozambiques, so they're feeling a little bit stronger in Season 26. Okay, let's move on to the ranked changes next. There are no more jumpmasters in ranked. If you watched ALGS this year, you'll know for the pros they gave them specific drop points, and the pros would essentially have to choose their drop point and then they would be fixed to that drop zone. And so for ranked, they've taken a similar kind of version of this. You don't actually get to choose your POI that you drop into. The game will just randomly assign them to teams as part of ranked. However, as part of that random choice, your team will be given a specific POI to drop in as your drop zone. The dropship is much lower, so even if you don't want to go to that POI, it's not going to be high enough for you to fly across the map like you could before. And the idea of this is that it's going to really reduce those hot drops in ranked to try and make it a little bit more balanced and a little bit more competitive, with teams thinking a bit more strategically. At least that was the feedback from the devs. Sticking with the theme of ranked, the other introduction for ranked is a new reward called Ranked Aura. These are visible rewards that are effectively behind your legend's head as a display item. They're live, which means they upgrade as part of your rank. So essentially, as you rank up, the ranked aura you have behind you will change. They're also universal, so once you equip it, it'll apply to any legend you pick. It is free though, so you don't need to pay for it. It's going to unlock automatically for free. The only other ranked change I'll point out for you is that they've tweaked the ranked points, particularly around the kill points, i.e. the KP, but they haven't changed the placement points. And the feedback from the devs, or what they specifically said, was essentially they're hoping this will balance out and make ranked a little bit more competitive, but they did also say if the reduction in KP leads to teams ratting too much, then they will make some quick fixes. So once the season starts, definitely shout out if you're finding more rats because of the KP reduction. Now, sticking with the line of rewards, there's a new feature or reward set called Accolades. These are a little bit like the badges we can earn today, but instead of the achievements being displayable on your banners, these accolades pop up in-game as you achieve them. And also at the end of the game, the best 3 accolades that you earn through that game will then be visible on your player card at the end of the game. So that's kind of how you get visibility of your accolades and what they mean. You can also track your accolades in the game menu. You'll notice there are quite a few tricky accolades, one of the hardest ones being the Inspect no scope with the Kraber. Of course, you've got some slightly easier accolades, things like getting a certain number of revives or looting a certain amount. You also have tiers for some of these. For example, with those revives, the more revives you do, the higher the tier of the accolade you'll earn. Now, I mentioned there's a new game mode at the start of this video, so let's talk about it. That new game mode coming in Season 26 is called Wildcard. It's a standalone game mode, so it doesn't replace trios or duos, nor ranked. This is a separate standalone mode, which the devs said is permanent. And that means they'll continue to make updates to the mode through this season, but also future seasons. You can see in the menu at the moment, it's standalone from those, but it's just above them and therefore separate to unranked and ranked. Now, the overall goal of Wildcard is the same as Battle Royale, which is to be the last squad standing. However, Wildcard completely switches up the normal Battle Royale experience that we're used to in Apex Legends, because in Wildcard, things are a lot more fast-paced and, dare I say, a little bit more chaotic. In terms of maps, it's going to start on Kings Canyon, and to go with the theme of this mode being fast-paced, they've made a few tweaks to the map. The first of those being that the zone on drop is already closed a certain amount, and therefore the map becomes a lot smaller. To go with that, you therefore only have 30 teams instead of 60 teams. And Kings Canyon has been tweaked, giving a teal theme colour, but also on top of the colour change, they've added a lot more movement features like zip rails, zip lines, and gravity cannons. And these kind of allow you to traverse the map a lot faster, and it means you're going to be having a lot more fights a lot faster in Wildcard than you might do in ranked or unranked. To make things even faster in Wildcard, they've also changed the way looting works. You don't have a backpack anymore, you've got specific slots holding the loot that you need. For example, things like ammo. You also have a self-revive kit, and you can even loot another self-revive kit if you use yours, but then you're able to kill another enemy that has one. On top of the self-revive, you've also got revival enabled, which essentially means there's free respawns up to round 5 as long as you have at least one team member alive. There is a respawn timer, of course, and your teammates can speed up that timer by getting things like kills or picking up Evo orbs. So essentially, this is kind of like an interesting mode that's somewhere between the normal pubs experience in Battle Royale and the slightly more extreme mixtape experience, which has lots of respawns and is a bit more fluid and faster paced, but has nothing to do with Battle Royale. So Wildcard kind of fits in between the two of them. Oh yeah, and one crazy thing about this Wildcard game mode is that you can have multiple legends on the same team. During my early access, I had this crazy game where there were the last 2 teams alive and they were fully triple stacked Caustic teams, which effectively meant the end game was 6 Caustics. It's safe to say if you're any legend apart from Caustic in that environment, you're going to be in a lot of trouble because essentially there's gas everywhere. But anyway, that's another thing that just makes this mode slightly crazy. It's also worth noting the weapons you pick up are fully kitted and you'll have to upgrade them through the game. Oh, and by the way, the word wildcard refers to the final element I'll mention for this new game mode, which are the wildcards themselves. These are new features that essentially bring new abilities or perks to the legend that you've got, and they do include a whole range of things, one of them being wall running. Don't worry, I'll do a full guide on how wildcard works, because even though the rules are the normal Battle Royale rules, there are so many new features within wildcard that really do make it completely different to just a standard pubs game. I'll finish by saying E-District is the only map that's had a few tweaks beyond what we've just talked about and shown you in Kings Canyon. The main thing about E-District and the changes is more of a visual makeover because the devs have taken the skybox from Angel City, so you Titanfall fans should be familiar with that one, and they've added it to E-District. And the resulting factor of this is that you can see from the comparison images, E-District becomes a lot brighter and a lot more vivid in what you can see. They've also made some improvements to the flow of the map. They've added passageways between the buildings, particularly those storefronts, which should make it a little bit easier to get around E-District as opposed to running into so many dead ends. I'll just finish off with a couple of comments about the legend upgrades because Caustic and Bangalore have had the two biggest upgrades out of any legend. Caustic has had something added to his abilities called Field Research, and essentially these are points you can earn by doing certain things, and these will then allow you to get all 4 upgrades if you're Caustic and if you earn enough research points, which could definitely be very strong. To go with Caustic, Bangalore's also had a buff. It's mostly around her smoke, and it's getting a boost because it can now breach doors, but also there's an upgrade option which gives you the ability to shock enemies caught in the smoke and also destroy traps. And there you have it, those are the key things you want to know about Season 26. I appreciate all the support, I look forward to seeing you in Season 26, and I'll catch you later.